The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday, and the first day we're on tape. So, the people watching us on YouTube, hello.
Welcome.
We're live. And the people who watch us at 5 this evening and want to watch us live will have to go to YouTube. Just get on there and just get Spindle City Straight Talk, and you'll see us live. So,
and
anything we don't cover at 5 that you said, why didn't they mention this? If it happened at 2 o'clock this afternoon, it's because this show ends at noon. So we will give you as much information as we can, and
we enjoy what we do.
And we do. So it's been a fairly quiet week, actually. To a degree, because
until Friday.
Till Friday, yeah. I mean, but everybody's got their post-New Year's hangovers and their resolutions. They're all doing their 1 week or 2 weeks in the gym before they all go back to their...
Right, next week will be the end of it.
Yeah, that'll be the end of it. But, Friday was the big day, the papers, for the recall. And, of course, the man who is trying to obstruct the recall, the mayor, pulled papers. And we all know where he stands. And... But we have some other fairly well-known political people, and it's got a nice balance here. We've got two political people who have actually held office and do hold office, and a Fall River School Committee member, Paul Coogan, took out papers, and his quote was, "To restore trust in our public servants and a positive light for everybody. Around the clock and not just at election time, but day in and day out," unquote, And then he said, another quote, "I think we can do a much better job." Well, I agree with that. And it's going to take a while to restore the public trust. And most people know Paul Coogan. He was vice principal at Durfee. He was one of the foremost advocates of the debt override for the school.
That we didn't need.
Huh?
That we didn't need.
That we didn't need, yeah. And I mean, look, I've known Paul for a long time, and we didn't disagree about the need for a school. We disagreed with the fact that we didn't feel the taxpayers should be further burdened, and as you well know, CJ and I were vocal adversaries in that fight, and then they ultimately admitted to what Sean Kadim had said in the first place, that we didn't really need the debt override, so they imposed another tax burden on you. And we did deal with that at some of the neighborhood association meetings, and fundamentally their position was, we don't care how we pay for it, we just want it.
But the thing that we got to remember here is, you have Paul Coogan who's saying that he wants to restore the faith in government, but at the same time, he promoted a lie. I'm sorry, your history is there, okay? He went out there saying that we have to have this debt override, and we didn't. We did not have to have it. So he promoted more taxation. And now he's going to run for mayor, which is going to put him in control of the budget, which will be more taxation.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And I think at one time when we did get into the fact that we may not need it, they basically didn't even debate it, because they said, we don't care fundamentally, we just want the school.
That's right. And,
we're going to get it, we want it under any circumstances, and we think it's going to be easier with the debt override. So, hey, difference of opinion, but to me, as you said, I have problems with all these candidates lately because of the fact that this city has gotten away, as our federal government and our state government has, of even making a really kind of minimal attempt at convincing the taxpayers they care one iota about taking everything they can out of their pocketbooks. The terms that we heard 20 years ago, like bare bones budget and lean government, those are gone. Gone. Nobody's heard those in decades. They just go up in front of you and blatantly say, hey, you know, your taxes are going to get increased every year. And that's the way it's got to be. And that's the way it is. And accept it. And they've said it. They've said it in front of the council. Our state delegation, they spend money like water. And they think that we're an endless supply. That's one of the problems. Milton Friedman said it. God, Milton Friedman would, you know, I mean, I'm looking at today's society. When Milton Friedman said if you gave the government the Sahara Desert and they'd run out of sand in 5 years because they spend money so badly, that's when they actually pretended to care. There was a time in Fall River where you never saw a tax increase or a fee increase, especially in an election year. Now they just blatantly just say, tax increases, fee increases, they vote a budget, and the next week, Terry Sullivan's in there looking for more money on top of the tax and fee increases. I mean, it's just insane. So, you know, I am, you know, as Sam Sutter branded me, I am a small government guy. I am a lean government guy. I believe that the government is there very simply to give us our necessary services. And as our Constitution says so clearly, they are our substitutes and agents and answerable to us at all times. But they think it's their job to use us as ATM machines and that they're in charge. And, you know, let's hope that we don't. So, yeah, you're right. We had a difference, but, you know, he's very well known. He will be a factor for sure in this race because, you know, he's, you know, when he led that, you know, there were a lot of people in favor of the school, regardless of the cost of the school. They just didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear Sean Kadim say we could afford it without doing it. They didn't want to hear anything. All they wanted to do, because they paraded, you know, they used the human shields, the children. Oh, you're against the children. I'm not against the children. I never have been against children. The fact is, I'm as pro-education as it gets. But I'm also anti-wasting taxpayers' money. And this stuff of, we got to build this at all costs, no. We should be building it and getting the best bang for our buck. If we don't need a debt override, we shouldn't have had it. And the bottom line is, buildings do not educate children. Yeah, the learning environment might be a little bit more conducive, but the reality is that that doesn't educate children. Abraham Lincoln never went to school. He studied, self-educated by candlelight. We've had many, many people who come from third world countries who were brilliant people who went to schools that barely had electricity, if they even did have electricity.
Hey, when I went to school, we didn't have computers, we didn't have all this.
Yeah.
All this extra stuff.
And you actually knew the capitals of a few states when you left. Yeah, we knew the capitals of the states,
and we knew how to do math simply. You know, 2 times 2 is 4.
So
not 2 times 5 is 10. You know, minus 2 is just driving me crazy.
And we're not segueing off topic here.
No, we're not.
This is the topic. When you look at these candidates, let's not try to make this a popularity contest again, like most people always do. Let's not make this a popularity contest. Let's look at the facts. Is Fall River gotten better? No. The median state income had went up from 66,000 to 70-some thousand, and Fall River's median income basically moved. Negligible at all. We're still the poorest city in the state. We have no jobs, yet they tax us to death. They tax us like we're Newton. We can't sustain this anymore. This city will have no one left. The only people left in here are the rich people and the people who are retired and can't afford to sell their house. And they're going to lose their houses ultimately because most of the retirees' houses are paid for. And they're barely being able to afford increases in taxes, increases in fees. Well, as I said, the most a city retiree can get for an increase when we have our quote-unquote cost of living. We don't get a percentage like our state legislators do. We don't get a big fat, we're capped. $360 a year. A year. That's less than $1 a day. Pharmaceutical drugs went up. There goes your 360, gone, just with the increase in the cost of medicine, cost of food. Now you stick in a new tax increase, and as I said on the last show, I had a 16.5% tax increase. I had a tax increase that was over $100 more than I could get for a cost of living raise. So how do you expect these people to continue to hang on to their houses? And I hear this every day when they come to me talking, basically about their prescription drug issues and stuff like that. It's a horrible thing. This is the core issue. It's about looking beyond the name, beyond the fact that they're recognizable. Oh, I know him. My son, he was my son's vice principal. I'll give him a vote. Oh, wait a minute. This guy makes a chow mein sandwich. Let me give him a vote. That's not the way it's supposed to be, people. That's the reason this government is the disaster it is in. Because you wouldn't pick an auto mechanic that way, but you'll pick somebody that will control your destiny in this community. And the next one, another highly visible guy, is former city councilor and school committee member Kyle Riley, was first in line, and his quote was, "I really feel we haven't been stable for a long time." Well, I agree with that one. And in the mayor's office, there's been a lot of turnover. Well, you can't argue with that one either. And said Riley, and the next quote is, "I'm committed to this community. I've been committed to this community since I was a kid," unquote. And now with 6 kids of his own, I feel like I'm just part of the fabric of the community. Yeah, so we got another, well, not quite so visible because it's been a while since Kyle Riley was in. I can't even remember what he was in. Do you, CJ?
What?
Huh?
What was that? I'm sorry, I had to take
Kyle Riley. Yeah. I'm saying, yeah, his name might be visible because his grandparents owned Riley's Bakery, one of the most popular bakeries in the city of Fall River for many years. But he was on a school committee and a councilor, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been some time since he's been around.
Yeah, it's been a while. So there are a lot of the millennials, quote unquote millennials, they don't even they know Coogan because they were probably
In school.
2 years ago he was their vice principal.
Right.
But they know Riley. But Kyle Riley is and his family have been part of this community for a very long time, so he's fairly recognizable too.
One of the things Kyle made clear to a reporter from, I don't know if it was NBC or ABC, was that he knows what it's like to struggle because he comes from a Section 8 family. He made it very clear to say he came from a poor family. Now, his grandparents may have been, okay, medium income, because they had the bakery, but they worked hard for that.
Yeah, they did, very hard.
Okay? And, that's the problem. Fall River is no longer a working community. We used to be a working community. Everybody had jobs. They went to Lewis Hand, they went to Shelburne Shirt, they went to the mills, they went to Corbett Hats. They did all of that. And they used to work. And that's why we had movie theaters and restaurants. But we're no longer that. We're now a city of people who don't work.
Yeah. And
we have a small minority that work.
Yeah, it's a malaise we have in the city because
it's an
people
apathy.
That's why we have the drug problems. They get, they've lost any hope. There's no hope left. But he has 6 children, so everybody knows hard enough to bring up 1 or 2 today in today's society, and he's brought up 6 children.
He's a good Catholic.
And yeah, he's an Irish Catholic. So, he knows what it is to obviously to have to live on a budget, and unfortunately, we don't have many politicians that know how to do that. Or if they do, they completely forget about it once they get elected. And so we have those 2, so it's good. We got the mayor, the mayor, he speaks for himself. We've got 2 people who have held or do hold public office and who are known to different segments of the community. Probably it's a coin toss. I think probably Kyle Riley is known more to the elderly people in the high-rises.
And to the education community, like Paul is.
Yeah, well,
Because he was an administrator.
Yeah, and in another city though, a town.
Right, but he was
on a school committee.
Yeah, he was on a school committee, and he's always been an educational person for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the educators know, but I think the general public, I'd say, probably older people, because of Riley's Bakery, probably would know him, and I think the millennials will know Paul a little bit better. Now we come to the people who don't have a fairly well-known political resume. Louis Cabral Jr.'s second run for mayor. At one time, he said he was a supporter of Jazel Correa II. Well,
he's a Republican.
A Republican. Well, that's like saying he's the Antichrist in this city. Okay. Now, this is his quote. The issue is with recent news and just the integrity of the city. We've become a national laughingstock, unquote. Cabral said, so I think we need someone with a stronger backbone from a different school of thought who doesn't think the same way as most of our city councilmen do or anyone else who runs the city. I want to provide a new option because I think the people of Fall River deserve that. Well, we do need someone with a stronger backbone, but I think, we've been a national laughingstock for quite a while. It's not that we've just become one, and providing new options, well, we'll see. But like I said, he's he's not very well known. I don't know what his basis
He's 21. He's 21.
21, a Republican, and he of course, was a millennial, so of course he supported Jazel.
And the other problem is that, and I got this from his interview with Joe Good when he took out his papers, he kept saying that he has the ideology that Fall River needs. He has the ideology.
Well, maybe he agrees with Mark D. Maybe he agrees with Mark Dion. We're going to build a wall around Fall River to keep us from escaping to Marblehead and polluting that community.
They made a movie about us, didn't they? Only they changed the name. They called it Escape from New York.
That's right. But yeah, he's got the ideology. Well, the only thing is, a lot of Republicans are fiscally conservative, which I've never been a Republican. I've always been an independent. I voted in both primaries when I had candidates who I thought, but I've always been, I probably said I was more Republican leaning when it comes to the economy. I am more fiscally responsible. I don't believe in just, tremendous government spending. Just throw money at everything, which is like the Massachusetts way, the Fall River way. We got a problem in the schools. We hire more supervisors, not more teachers. This is the way we do things, and this is the reason that the budget's increased, the salary is increased, and the community has decreased in population, in education, educational attainment. Everything has gone down that's positive. The only thing that's gone up is the salaries and the taxes and the fees. So I'm a fiscal conservative. I'd say socially I'm a moderate. So.
But that's what most of America is. They're fiscally conservative, and they're a moderate or liberal to the social side.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because that's about the middle of the road that you're going to get here. But in our communities, including Fall River, we have two sides, and that's it. There's only two sides, and there's a line down the middle that nobody can cross.
Yeah, and I think something. See, you hit it right on the head, because that's what we do now. But it's a political strategy for them.
It's tribalism.
It's labeling. They label you, and then you become part of that tribe. You're a Republican. Well, you don't like you hate poor people. You want to give the rich all the money, and you don't really care because you live somewhere. If you're a Democrat, you want everything for free, and so we got these labels. And ironically enough, that's not true. There are people who are moderate. And look, I hate to say this, but probably, well, at least it's my opinion. People may think, but my two favorite presidents were Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt, both of whom were Republicans. And if you look at Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party, obviously that label didn't apply what we define Republicans as today. I mean, you look at Abraham Lincoln, he you know, let's face it, we had a civil war. We saved the country and we freed the slaves. You look at Teddy Roosevelt. He established a national park system. If you look at the way we look at Republicans today, we think they're anti-environment. And yet, Teddy Roosevelt, so it just goes to show that a label does not define an individual. Look beyond the label to the person and the platform that they represent. Look at what they say. I want to see one of these candidates come out and say, a tax and fee increase for the people of Fall River will be my last resort, not my first option. Because the reality is, when people begin to have more money to spend, some of these businesses will survive. Because you can't have a business in Fall River without money. And people that have money to spend. That's the reality of the thing. That's why Newton, whose household income is like $120,000 compared to Fall River's $35,000, has 10,000 more businesses than Fall River.
And none of them are dollar stores.
And yeah, and we've got 10,000 less and about 50% of dollar stores. So, but I mean, look beyond. And then we come to our last, but by no means least, not being a political insider, Ronald Arthur Gagnon said he doesn't know what the state of the city is in, and it's time to take a look. Well, we've been saying that for how long, CJ?
Too long.
We said that expletive, forensic.
Yep.
Forensic. Or how long have we been talking about the fact that this city really needs a forensic audit, and we really take a look.
We've been talking about that for too many years.
Yep, and his quote is, "I'm lucky if I get elected, I'll sit down with all the department heads and get thoroughly briefed and see what we have to do to get the city moving forward," unquote. Yeah, you know, you can't argue with that. You sit down with department heads. That's what they're getting paid to do, to run in departments. We don't need all these chief of staffs and everything else. We've got a department head in every department making six figures or nearly
assistants.
With assistants, and yet none of them. They all need an overseer, or two overseers, or three overseers. And then, of course, former Mayor Will Flanagan, who was recalled in 2014, told WSAR that he's considering running in the recall election, but it did not take out. So Will said, and I saw Will's interview, stand under his picture, and and he said that he thought he did a really good job as mayor, and he wants to come back and do an even better job. Well, Will, I hate to tell you this, but you know, we had an $8 million deficit in the budget. You didn't prepare for pay raises that you gave out. You didn't prepare for a landfill that everybody in the city except you knew was going to close, and various and sundry other items that we had in Flanagan's shenanigans. And look, I don't dislike Will. My personal opinion he was a terrible mayor. He was an incompetent. He didn't know what was going on. Even lately, he actually said on his own radio show that he put city employees on a GIC and saved the city millions. We've never been on a GIC. He was planning to do that, and he didn't do it. After he had a meeting, and I explained that we could save as much plan modeling, give the people a better plan. And so these are the candidates, everybody. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun between now and March, I think. Let's see how this shakes out, and let's see where everybody aligns. Let's look at where the big money goes. I have my ideas.
So do I. And but remember, we also got a couple of other people that are still in the
That's right, in the wings. They're in the wings. Sam Sutter,
John Mitchell, and Erica Scott Pacheco.
Yes.
So, I mean, those are three more names that may get thrown into this
And
mix.
who knows, there may be somebody else out there that we're not aware of.
Right.
But listen, while we're on the subject, our viewers, and since you'll be watching this on delay, except you watching live, you know, some of you text us and email us and you know, comment. Let us know. What do you think of the idea of us bringing on each one of these candidates for a 10 or 15-minute segment during our show and ask them some questions that you submit? Just a few. We don't, it's not going to be a debate for them. It's not going to be adversarial, but we'll invite all of them to come in and answer some questions. Little simple things like, are you going to keep raping the taxpayer? Little stuff like that.
Just little things.
Just to see where they stand on these issues, so you can know what their platform is. Because it's not about the fact that you know them. It's not about the fact that he once gave you a chow mein sandwich or a spaghetti dinner. It's about the future of the city and your future, fundamentally, because, we don't live in Fall River. Fall River lives in us. We have to live in this city. And if they keep doing what they're doing, we're on the precipice of disaster here. So I think it might be a nice idea. Some of them may not show up, but it won't be a debate. We're not going to host any kind of debate here, but we have hosted some debates, and I think that it would be nice to bring each candidate in, give them a little time to introduce themselves, give us their overview on what they think.
Already get feedback. People who are watching us live are saying, "Hey, yeah, do that." So
and send us some questions. We'll try to.
Jason will deny it.
I resemble that remark. I did nothing. Well, look.
I am not a crook.
Jazel is welcome to come. He will get an invitation. I guarantee you he will get an invitation. But I think it's a good idea. Let them, this is going to be something for them. I mean, we'll give them time to make their statement. We'll ask them a couple of very fundamental questions. We're not going to get some, basically on what are you going to do? How are you going to change the city? How are you going to turn this around? How are you going to deal with the job issues and the unemployment issues? Do we have something that's different? Are you thinking out of, just to give everybody kind of an idea, let them say what they've got to say. I think it'd be really good, and I think everybody will enjoy that. We're not going to give them the whole show, but we'll give them, about half the show.
We'll give equal time to all of them. So
they will all get equal time. So hey, that's about it. So the judge wants more facts in Fall River versus FROED. So that's the last little thing we got today, and we all want more information about Fall River.
Before we jump into that a little bit.
Oh, there's another one.
Kyle Riley is having an organizational meeting Wednesday night, 6 o'clock at 758 Bedford Street, which is going to be his campaign headquarters. And Paul Guggen is having an organizational meeting Wednesday night at 6 o'clock at Scotty's Pub. So if you want to find out anything about these people, there's an opportunity.
Oh, and there was one little sheet I actually was just stuck in between. The judge wants more facts, so do we. Read the article. People are fleeing Massachusetts. Why? You think they're fleeing now? The only reason more people haven't fled Fall River,
is they
fled
can't.
Fall River.
They can't.
Is because they can't afford to. It made it the 7th most outbound state in the country.
Number 1 is New Jersey.
Yep. Well, the toxic waste dump. So, yeah, they come and go variety, job change, retirement. But I think it's more of the fact that New Jersey's first, Illinois is second, Connecticut. Again, high tax states.
High tax states.
High tax liberal states where they want you to pay for everything.
That's the other thing. They're all blue
let's
states.
give everybody everything for free and let the working man pay for it. We'll give the rich people a tax break and the poor people freebies, and the middle class, what's left of it, will finish destroying it. Kansas, Ohio, then Massachusetts. Well, stay angry, everybody, and if you want to see this great show live, you're going to have to go to YouTube.
That's it. Hey, have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you on Wednesday.